All right, guys, so today we are diving into the LS Miata. We had a catastrophic failure. The serpentine belt flung off, and then it went haywire, knocked the dry sump belt off, and then caught the dry sump and basically pulled it over and caused it to crack the block where the pump mounts. So it was a pretty big mess that we have to now clean up. So this is what's left of the serpentine belt. So yeah, I mean, we got to start assessing the damage, do whatever we had to do to fix the mounting point for the dry sump, weld the block back up, all that stuff. If it's loose, if anything like that, it's gonna sling the belt, lose oil pressure. So it's very important that it is mounted securely. So that's pretty much the goal. That's pretty much what we have to do. If you guys saw the last video, basically in the footage you can see that it doesn't lose oil pressure until about 2 seconds before I shut it off. So when it dawned on me that, oh wait, the dry sump belt might not be there, and I saw no oil pressure, turned it off, that was only like 2 seconds after it happened, no load, just kind of idling in third. So we should be okay engine-wise. I'm not gonna dig into the engine because that's a whole nother can of worms. It's a lot bigger project. I wanna get this thing done. I wanna get it back up and running. You know, we had issues with the drivability of the car. The drivetrain was super reliable after this swap and everything, and we are just having issues with the car driving right. Finally got it driving right, and then we broke the drivetrain. So I'm trying to just knock this out, get it back up and running, because it has been so fun to drive now that it drives well. So let's get to it. Let's just start digging into this thing. All right, so good news and bad news. Good news is I was actually able to straighten the pump out just by prying against the engine mount, because I forgot that the bottom mount doesn't bolt directly to the block. It bolts into this aluminum piece that bolts to 2 holes in the block. So that means most of our bend was from that little mount bending. However, oh, I lost my light over here. Hold on. Now you can really see, let's see if I can get you guys enough light. Oh God, see that crack right there? So you can see how much bigger the crack got. It looked like a hairline fracture, but when I pried it back straight, it separated because it was pinched basically against it. So what I'm gonna have to do is pull like pretty much all the front accessories off, pull bumper off, intake off, radiator out, all that stuff. Give myself as much room as possible. Pull the pump off, but don't disconnect it so we don't have oil going everywhere. Just pull it off, push it to the side, and then I should be able to get in there with my TIG welder, get that thing back in place, weld it up, chase any threads if I need to, and then bolt it back up. That's my tentative plan. We're gonna dig into it. We gotta take all that stuff out to pull the engine out anyway. So worst case, if I can't do it in the car, we'll pull the engine out. But ideally, it'd be awesome if I didn't have to pull the engine out or disconnect the dry sump lines or anything like that. It would save a lot of time and a lot of work and a lot of other stuff. So start ripping her apart. Let's hope for the best. Fingers crossed. Wish me luck that we can fix this without pulling the engine out. We made pretty quick progress. That's one nice thing about having to take a car apart often, is you get pretty good at taking it apart. You get used to like knowing what, you know, anyway, how it comes together, how it goes apart. That's another benefit to building your own car. The problem with building your own car is they never tend to be reliable. Not you yourself, but like anybody. Any car that's got everything changed on it, you're gonna have issues. I mean, it's just the way it is. So anyway, I'm rambling. Got everything off the front here. We should easily be able to get to this to weld it up. So I need to, last thing is get the pump off, try to get it out of the way with the line still attached if possible, and try to figure out if I can like clamp a bolt in here and keep this shut. I'm not sure yet. I really gotta get the pump off before I can figure that out, but I got the belt back on, turned the engine over just to make sure the pump was still good and the shaft wasn't bent or anything like that. It turned over fine, made good oil pressure, not running, just cranking it over. So I think we're okay there, the wood's there. So now we just gotta get the pump off and try to figure out how to fix the block. Not too bad, not too bad, I'm not complaining. Keep your head up, that's what you gotta do. It's a bummer, not a big deal. Could have been worse. All right, well, there's part of our block. And there's our block. So we got the pump off, got the oil cooler out of the way, got pretty good access to it. Not as good as it could be, but definitely not bad. Cleaned everything up, grouted it a little bit to give us kind of a deeper V. I do also want to add a plate. Once we weld that piece back on here, I want to add a plate over the front here just to give it a little more stability from cracking back this way. So yeah, I think probably the biggest difficulty is going to be just getting the threads lined up. I can't really, if I try to thread a bolt in there, it just pushes off to the side because it pushes the piece out of the way. So I can't really like put a bolt in there and clamp it, and there's no good way to clamp it anyway. Oh, maybe a vice grip would work. Let me try that. Yeah, just trying to get it lined up right where the threads are going to be lined up, because if not, we're going to have to like fill it with weld and really re-tap it or drill it and helicoil it, which you got to pull the motor out to do that. So hoping that it doesn't come to that. So anyway, I'm gonna get to it and I will update you guys if I make any progress. All right, we got it all welded up. What I did was I threaded the bolt in with the piece that was cracked. I clamped it to where I could thread the bolt in and out, welded that up, and then I cut this little plate and I welded it on top and bottom. I was gonna weld over here, but I think it would interfere with bolting everything on. It's not perfect. The bolt like goes in at maybe 2-degree angle, but for welding in the car, I'm not ashamed because it was pretty tough. Basically, to get my head up in there, I had to be like right up against it, and then to do it up from the bottom, I basically had to go from the fender well, and it was definitely difficult. But in every aspect, the most difficult weld I've ever done. Like fit up, oily cast aluminum, location, you know, like all of those things, position, all of it, very, very difficult. So I mean, it was a challenge, but I think we're good. I think we got it done. So we're gonna go ahead and try to get the pump back on and the cooler back mounted up, and then if that goes smoothly and everything looks good, we can just hammer out putting the rest of the car back together. So wish me luck. Boy, I needed all of that luck that I could get. So we got everything welded up, we finished up, and like I said, I put a bolt in it, clamped it, made sure the bolt went in and out with it clamped before I welded it. I welded it, I checked it again, everything was good. Welded the brace on, checked it again, everything was good. And then when I went to bolt the actual pump on, I got it to the point where it was getting tight, and it just got tight, started slipping at about probably 10 foot-pounds or so. And I was like, no, like the threads pulled out, no. So I took it all apart and I looked, and like the threads were still there. They weren't great in the beginning, but you could see past where it broke, there's threads, like another inch of threads, right? So I threaded the bolt in without the pump, and the bolt went in okay, and like started to get tight. So I was like, okay, the bolt's just too short to go grab all the good threads down in the back. So I got a longer bolt, threaded it in. We got tons of thread engagement, probably a solid inch of threads, and it got super tight. I cranked on it. It was good. We're good. So now we get to put the rest of the car back together. But man, that was a crisis averted, man. Like I was freaking a little bit. I was freaking, because that would mean pulling the entire engine out to helicoil it, to put it back together, you know, put the engine back. Just like pulling the engine out when I was so close, you know, I like welded it in the car when I could have welded it way better out of the car. Like if I was gonna have to pull the engine out, it would have been much better to pull it out in the first place. And Anyway, crisis averted. I am very happy. I am very stoked. That seems solid. It seems good. We're definitely gonna keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on both bolts. Keep an eye on everything and make sure it's solid. We got our shorter belt because I think my old belt was a little too long for the underdrive pulley. And yeah, we got everything we need to put it back together. We're just gonna start hammering it out, start getting it back together. So let's get to it. All right, guys. Well, I got the wrong serpentine belt twice. 2 of them each time. So I got 2 wrong. But I know what size I need now. So I don't want to go bug the people at O'Reilly's again because they're about to close. So we're gonna go in the morning. I need to get water wetter and distilled water anyway. But the old girl's back together. Not bad for a day's work. I'll fire her up for you guys just to show you, because I'm proud of myself for this one. Everything looks good. We got oil pressure. Chilling. All right, we've got another nice day out. It's getting a little hotter. I think it's like 85, 88, something like that. However, there's not really that much humidity, so it's really not bad. That's the thing people don't realize is when we talk about how hot it is in Florida, it's not so much the physical temperature, it's the humidity. We usually have like a lot of times 90% humidity, and to me that's the worst part. I don't mind the heat. Like right now it feels great because I'm not sweating. I just hate profusely sweating and you're sticky and you just feel like it just makes you feel disgusting and you like can't breathe because the air is so thick. Ugh, it's rough. So very glad that Florida has been holding out for us. Still hasn't gotten miserable yet. Keyword yet. So we're back from our store run. We got what should be the right size belt, hopefully. We got water butter. We got distilled water. Got some beautiful Walmart sushi for lunch. So we're gonna slam this down and get to work. Oh, also, Ben set up his digital dash. So it's a Raspberry Pi. Let me show you guys from this side. It's a Raspberry Pi, which is basically a mini computer, and then a Raspberry Pi screen. This guy online drew up this. It's basically the housing for the screen as well as basically like a bracket for the Pi. He got it printed out on Reddit because my printer was being a pain, but there's a Reddit forum of like print my stuff and you can find and get quotes from people to print it. But he's doing, what are you epoxying? Oh, that thing. Switch panel. I thought you were epoxying this.
No, that's all good to go. I just got to get like a power supply for it.
Right. But now he's got a digital dash hooked up to the Mega Squirt. He has, can you tune on it?
You can, it runs like full tuner studio, so you can like tune on it, data log on it, like
yeah, that's
whatever.
So sick.
And then you can set up like whatever you want your dash to be.
Right. I wish I could do that in my car. I want to come up with some digital dash solution for my car. Everyone gives me crap for my speedo not working, but they don't realize like there's 2 main reasons why. One, I have an NA cluster, which is a mechanical speedo, so I could gut the cluster, modify it, and convert it and put an NB electronic speedo in it. But I don't have a speed sensor anywhere. So a Miata uses a speed sensor in the trans. A T56, which is your normal LS transmission, has a speed sensor in the trans. But I have a CDO9, which is a Z transmission, which doesn't have a speed sensor in the trans because it uses a speed sensor at the diff. So I'd basically have to make like basically a Hall effect sensor and then like program it to read speed to make my speedo work on top of modifying the cluster. So it's a lot of work for something that like I don't really need. Like, I can just put my phone up there and see how fast I'm going if I need it. So I don't know. Maybe we'll come up with some sort of digital dash, but I'm getting distracted. Let's put this freaking belt on and hope it works. I guess it's been a while, so let's do the snap transition to the car being complete. All right. LS Miata is officially back together. It is done. I'm stoked. Cooling system's bled. Everything's checked. I literally got under it with it running to make sure the dry sump pulley was straight and not bent and the belt wasn't walking off or anything. I did order 2 new belts. I ordered like a super baller one that I have to wait for. Then I ordered one on Prime that's like a standard belt, but all the right size, all the right part number, everything like that. So we will get those in soon and replace that belt before we go drifting, like driving hard again. But for now, we at least can move the car around. It's running and driving. I do want to replace that belt. It seems they got a little damage. There's a little like tiny little piece of rubber coming off, like sliver this wide, but you know, better safe than sorry, right? This is very, you know, a dry sump oiling system is very important. So anyway, I got to get the Z in here and tinker with that. Probably sometime this week, maybe. Before the next drift event, one thing I want to do is I have these auger gauges. So basically they have an alarm little guy there, that little dot on the left side, and then you can wire them up to a speaker. So you can set a low limit and have, you know, a sound, an audible sound, and a light come on, you know, a low or a high limit. So what I want to do is I want to set that up so that basically, you know, if I ever drop oil pressure, you know, if the belt comes off or anything catastrophic like that happens, it'll sound an alarm and show me a light. I may even wire like a bright LED to the gauge cluster to tell me. So anyway, I mean, that's pretty much it. Really happy that the you know, the overall fixing it wasn't as bad as I anticipated. I didn't have to drop the motor out or anything like that. Hopefully it holds together and we don't have any more issues, but you know, it's just kind of a freak thing that happened. Belt came off, had nowhere to go, snatched the dry sump pump, cracked the block, like one of those things, you know, but we got it fixed. So that's gonna be it for this video. I'll see you guys tomorrow. We got lots more to do. Thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing. I'll see you then. Goodbye.